Hey yo, what up? It's Billy Quick. Welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a comprehensive guide on resources for the Altered trading card game. Whether you're a new or existing player, there will be something here for you, and hopefully you'll learn something. So let's go check them out. Starting with a resource for new players, I'd be surprised if you're finding this video and aren't familiar with this, but this is BoardGameArena.com. This is the official Equinox digital client for the Altered trading card game, and they offer a completely free option to play Altered. You can learn all of the starter decks. Everything is completely free, from making an account to trying all of the 6 starter decks available at this time. And so to get here, just go to boardgamearena.com. You can search Altered in this search bar, and it should be pretty straightforward to get there. I believe this is by default going to show play for you. So to find the tutorial, you can just select this blue arrow and then go to learn. And there's a play tutorial button here. I think my head's covering it. And once you select play tutorial, I believe there's only one starter deck that you can play in this tutorial, but it shows you all of the basic mechanics. And once you're finished, you can come back to this area and select play. And then if you scroll down a little bit, you can actually uncheck this allow custom decks box. And with this, if you go to play or hit start here, you'll only pair against players who are playing with the starter decks, giving you an option to play with all of the starter decks and get a feel for what playstyle you're looking for and whether or not Altered is for you. Once you become acquainted with Altered, you might be wondering where you can find a store near you that sells product or hosts events. And that takes me to my next resource, which is the Altered website, which is altered.gg. On this website, you can find the events tab here. And under the events tab, you can just search for upcoming events or just stores near you that sell Altered product. Now, I will lead this with a caveat that if there's a store near you that sells Altered product but has not registered as a shop account, they will not appear in this list. So if you know of a store like that, you can just tell them to do this yourself. It's under this hamburger menu, shop account down here in the corner. They just need to register and sign up. But once you're on this page, you can just search for stores in your area. For example, I'm in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. I can just type in Raleigh. I see it come up here. And I can just find any store that I'm looking for that might have events or learn more about that store. Now let's say you've bought product, you've acquired your own physical cards. One of the great things about Altered is the gimmick, is what I'll call it. It's that there's a shared physical and digital collection. So when you acquire a card in paper, you scan it into your account on the Altered website or via the Altered app, and you now have digital ownership of that card. And that links directly to the Board Game Arena website that we were just talking about. So you can build custom decks here, just like I have, and have access to them on the Board Game Arena website and play with your custom decks. And you don't have to actually acquire physical cards and digital copies of cards in 2 separate locations and have to spend double the money, or even triple in some cases. Moving on to one of the best resources for a competitive gamer like myself, I'm always looking to see what decks are being played, what a meta looks like, what are some of the best performing heroes? So to find something like that, I use 39cards.com. Here you can actually see any recent tournament that's been played on Board Game Arena or otherwise tracked. For example, most of these are Board Game Arena. You can look at specific tournaments here, or you can just go by heroes if you're looking for a specific hero that you're interested in. For example, if you watched any of my videos, you know I've been playing a lot of Lindaway. So I can just select Lindaway in this corner, and I can find decks of Lindaway that have performed well in recent tournaments. You can see on this left column here, you can see where the deck placed, who it was played by, and what their deck list looks like. Now this is a good segue into a resource that has helped me improve a lot and learn a lot about this game from an early stage. I've only been playing Altered for about 2 months, but let me show you something that really helped me learn decks and heroes that I was interested in. So from this screen you can see what players have played a certain deck. So in this case this is Zoa54. So if I copy this person's name, and I go over to Board Game Arena, which we were just looking at, and I paste this name into this search box here, I can find this player on Board Game Arena, and I can go and look at the games this player has recently played. So I can go find 973 games played, and in my experience, most of these players are often playing Altered the most. So you'll find it here with these games played, or you can look under this games history on the right side. So you can go and find an Altered game played. Let's say this one, for example, this is a game that they won. I can click on Altered here, and I can click on View Game Replay. Now from here, you can get a quick glance of what the gameplay looked like, what the hero matchup was. So in this example, Zoa was playing Lindway and Maul, which is what we were looking for, and the opponent was Sierra and Oddball. So you can kind of get an idea of what you're going to be watching before you actually dive into the replay. And you can choose which perspective you'd like to watch from the game. So in this case, if I want to watch Zoa, I can just select choose this player. Hops you right into the replay, and then you have a few replay options here at the top. Most often the play button is all that you need. There are advanced replay features if you'd like to play around with them. But I'm going to go ahead and click play. And one of the great features here is you can actually examine their current deck list. You can inspect what their uniques are and spend as much time here as you like. And then once you're ready to actually watch the replay, you can just select start and try and learn as much as you can about the given matchup, or the way that that player plays a certain deck or certain cards in their deck. This has been a great resource for me, and I highly recommend it if you're looking to improve or get better at Altered. So now that maybe you've acquired some of your own cards, you've built custom decks, you've checked out the meta, you've maybe watched replays, where do you go from here? How do you continue playing Altered in a more competitive environment, or continue getting better at the game? So there is just the regular play mode on Board Game Arena, but there's also an arena mode. Now this mode is for if you're looking to climb the ranks and are interested in leaderboards. Here you can get assigned bronze, silver, gold, just like most other competitive games. There's a worldwide leaderboard here. And if this is something you're interested in, then I highly encourage you to check it out. There are seasons. You can see there are 3,000 players that have played in this season. If leaderboards aren't your thing, but maybe you're interested in tournaments and placing, maybe you want to end up on 39 cards like we were just talking about, there's also a tournaments mode. Now I will note, for the tournaments mode, there's a minimum requirement. I believe you do have to have a certain rating on your account, maybe have played a certain number of games, something along those lines. It will tell you if you try to register for a tournament and you can't actually meet the minimum requirements. But here are what the tournaments look like. You can go and create your own tournaments if you'd like, with certain restrictions. Now, once a week or once every other week, there's also a tournament called the No Unique Championship, NUC for short. You might have seen that on the 39 Cards website. Here's one. NUC. So that means you cannot register a unique in that tournament. You can see there's no unique in this player's deck list. And this might be a good option for you if you're cost prohibitive with uniques. Maybe you don't have access to any that are good for the hero you like to play. I highly recommend checking those out. Moving on to another community-made website. This one is a deck building website that you might be familiar with if you've played any other card games. This is very similar. This shows you, at a glance, some of the most popular factions, heroes, and cards built on this website. So my understanding is that this doesn't actually use 39 cards or any kind of meta breakdown. This is just what's built on this website, and it would kind of line up with what we're seeing here, in that over 40% of the decks on this website are Muna and Bravos, and that correlates with the most popular cards. You know, more than half of them here are Muna and Bravos. And this is a place where you can go and check out what other people have built, share it with friends, and you can build a deck here without needing it in your collection, which I think you can do on the official Altered website, but it's not nearly as easy to do as you can do on this website. The main reason I like this website is for the My Collection tab. Now, this is something that I've been using since I started playing the game. It is a robust way to see what cards you own, and if you're a nerd for statistics like me, you can see how likely you are to open a given rare and a certain number of packs, for example. Those kind of statistics are very fun. When I had just started playing the game and I owned, 5% of the rares, seeing that I would get a new pack 99% of the time, or a new rare in a pack 99% of the time, was very exciting for me. You may notice I do have most of the collection of the first set now because I got into the marketplace and print on demand beta, so I was able to just purchase most of what I was missing. But this website is great. It does require an extension from Chrome, Edge, or Firefox, and there's some instructions here on how to install it and use it. I won't get into it in this video, but it's very easy to use. It's just an extension that you install, and then you just copy and paste. And you get some satisfying numbers like this. Now, in addition to these features, the developer actually reached out to me and asked me if I would give a try to a new recommending tool. So they added me to this beta testing feature where I have this new magic button. So let's say, for example, I wanted to start building a Sierra build. So I'd select Sierra as my hero. Yeah, I'm already creating a new deck. That's how easy it was. I can name it here. I can also, save, add more cards as I please. And if you're using the My Collection tab and you've imported your collection, you can actually see with this folder icon how many of these cards you own in your collection, and then how many of them are in your list. That's what this bottom number is. So let's say I'm building a Sierra deck, and maybe I don't have an idea. I can just select Magic. This will just recommend cards based on what most people are playing in Sierra lists. So that's pretty exciting. And I'm looking forward to how this tool evolves over time. This is in very early stages. I'm an early beta tester, so give this website a try. I'd also like to give a shout out to a bunch of the social media that exists for Altered. There's plenty of content creators to find on YouTube, especially. One that I tend to find myself putting on in the background just to listen to or watch is the Altered Weekly Online League, or AWOL for short. As you can see, I've watched a bunch of these. This is just the tournaments that you'll see on 39 cards that are commentated, and you'll see live stream of them. I'll have links to more social media in the description for this video, but some more I wanted to call out were the official Altered Discord. There's the Altered Trading Card Game subreddit, and everyone has been so nice and positive that I've interacted with so far, so I highly recommend checking them out. I did want to give some honorable mentions to a couple of other websites and social media. So the first one is the Altered Discord Marketplace. Now this one is completely community run. There is no official Altered presence that manages or does admin for that Discord. So I will say just be very careful there with who you interact with, who you're buying and selling from. Personally, I wouldn't be buying or selling on that Discord Marketplace. I would just wait until the Altered Marketplace exists and is up and running. But that is just my opinion and something I'll talk about in a future video. Another resource I wanted to give a quick shout out to was the Exalts Table. If you're familiar with Magic, there's this service called Spell Table that this is clearly influenced by or heavily inspired by. This is a digital way to play Altered with your physical cards, meaning I would shuffle up and have a webcam or some contraption, maybe my phone, displaying my board or my board state in front of me on my desk or wherever, streaming it over the internet to another person who is also playing with their physical cards. And this is a way that you can enjoy shuffling and play with. It goes over some of the features here. You can actually search cards that they have played. You can advance to mults and kind of get the full experience of playing in paper, but maybe you don't have access to maybe your LGS or whoever isn't hosting events. And this is just the only way you can play with your physical cards in a way that's more satisfying than playing on Board Game Arena. Another website I wanted to give an honorable mention to was Altverse. This is one I've not had much experience with myself, only because I'm still waiting on some access. I went and applied for it on their Discord, but it's been several days and I've not heard back. But this seems like a useful tool. They offer some features like teams where you can share collections and see what cards your teammate or your friends have access to that maybe you want to try and borrow or build a deck around. They also look like they're going to be doing a loan feature, which if you've played Magic the Gathering, there are services where you can borrow cards or on a loan service and build decks to play online. And this seems very useful, something that is almost certainly going to need to exist for people that don't have access to buying the really good uniques. This is probably going to be a cheaper alternative to outright buying decks overall if prices fluctuate or go up. So I'm looking forward to trying this, but like I said, I haven't had a chance to actually use it myself. So just wanted to call it out as something that exists. If I missed any resources today that helped you, please call them out in the comments. Looking forward to hear what you guys have to say. And if you'd also like to call out any content creators or any other useful resources, please let me know. And if you made it this far, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.